saw this thing on Twitter. I don't know where it's from at all, and I don't know what like the context above it is. My dog is freaking out in the mirror right now. So fighting herself. Okay, so this is the beginning of the article. I broke up with my boyfriend of 5 years during quarantine, but not because we had fallen out of love. I sent him an email with the subject line, "My terms," and proceeded to outline why I wanted to be single. In an effort to impose order on my decision, I included subheadings like, "Why I need this," "What this change means for you," and "What we'll say to the outside world," followed by a trail of bullet points. Under the subheading, "What this doesn't mean," I wrote that I don't love you anymore. And then the picture cuts off there. But I read this and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, when you break up with somebody, like, I mean, it's nice to like get an explanation of like why and shit like that, but to be so like dictatorish with it, because it seems like this is it. We're not going to discuss this. These are the points. If you have any like rebuttal to this, I'm not listening. It doesn't matter. Like this is what it's going to be. Especially like the ones where she put like what we'll say to the outside world. You don't get to decide that.
Right.
Like I get to say whatever the hell I want. You know, like which what everyone does and shit. And I know people say like, "Oh, be mature and discuss it," but it's just like you don't owe that person anything, really.
No,
you know, like after you know, unless you have kids or something, you owe it to the kid to like be cordial and shit like that. But other than that, like outside of the kids, you know, I get to do whatever I want, shit like that. And then another thing that I was just like, what the fuck? Which I really hate is like when you break up with somebody, you don't get to say like, "Oh, but I still love you."
Right. Well,
it's like no, because like, you know, but like it gives the other. It's like really mean because it gives like the other person hope.
Right.
Especially if they didn't want the breakup, it gives them like it keeps them on the hook basically, and I think it's really fucked up. And it seems meaner in the beginning, but in the end, it's way better to be like, just no, like just say that we're not in love. You know, say that even if it's not true to you. If it helps the other person get over it and you know you're not going to be with them anymore, just say it so they could move on. But I mean, what do you think about that shit?
One, that sounds completely insane and sounds like a bunch of bullshit. But let's be clickbaity and get a fucking clip out here in the beginning. No one's gonna even hear that first part. Watch. When it comes to these types of things, right? Who do you think dictates them more, men or women?
I want to say women, but I feel like men are just more imposing when they do shit like this and they kind of get their way. So I'm gonna say men.
Bitch, don't try to flip it for the no. You started with women. We're gonna stick to women. Like it's for the
whatever
clip.
I want, all right. Flip
it's
it, all right.
For the clip. All right. So now with today's standards we've seen, right? There's been a whole push for like after Me Too that you have to essentially you not only have to of course respect women and like treat them with the respect that you would treat your friend, whatever, your partner, whatever, but now you also have to, whatever they're not comfortable with when it comes to relationships, you have to essentially, if it's not working for them, either you have to change or you can't be in this relationship anymore, right?
Right.
So do you think stuff like this is the natural progression of like there's now being too much I wouldn't say power, but now there's too much like too much leeway, or like the pendulum is swinging to one side a little too much, and we're starting to get into that whole like this isn't realistic world?
Yeah, it's that what we talked about before, that overcorrection of shit.
Right.
And like it's necessary because it needs to go like that far to then rein it back into something reasonable.
Right.
So yeah, with this, it just seems like this lady is a little disillusional when it comes to how breakups are.
Right.
Because breakups are completely emotional. You know, very little logic, which, you know, relationships are just all together like that. So yeah, this is going a little too far with shit.
Now,
and especially to like write about it publicly.
Right.
That's weird.
Now, without giving out names, I'm gonna try to make this story as vague as possible. So if the person hears it, they won't know it's
we'll
them.
Bleep it.
But I have a friend who was telling me about a situation with a young lady where before he essentially got with his girlfriend at the time. He was interested in her, and it's like they talked about it and flirted and whatever. But I believe the other girl had a boyfriend at that point, and so didn't happen. And then he got with the girl that he was with at the time, and then before, right? I guess before it was like public to everyone else outside of like me because I'm his friend and like the people who knew, right?
Right.
The girl took it upon herself to tell the other girl, kind of like, oh hey, um, me and him were like talking, and I didn't even know that you guys were talking, and I thought that was like, oh,
Oh yeah.
that's shady because
Yeah.
one, you have a situation. Two, what was the point of inserting yourself into that if he's now with the girl that he wants to be with? Like just to say like, oh hey, by the way, cool with your happiness, but he was talking to me too, or he was talking to me
Before.
first. Yeah,
Yeah.
like and whatever. And I just thought it was like shitty or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
Fast forward down the line, there is now apparently this person is now she doesn't want to be with her dude anymore, and my friend is single and they're talking, and she doesn't want to be with her dude anymore, but talking to my friend, and then now apparently my friend was trying to uh kind of get at her and kind of get something started. She was like, oh, I'm talking to someone else. And I was like, okay, whoa.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well,
She knows what she's doing.
so you're with another dude talking to the homie, talking to another dude. And
You
I
know what
was
your friend should do? Your friend should find another dude and be like, "Oh, I know y'all together now, but she was talking to me before, just so y'all know."
but
And then,
but see now, as like for us that makes perfect sense and you should do that. But because of social standards and as a man, you a
right.
bitch if you do that. Like you a sucker, like whatever,
Then I'm a
right?
bitch. I'm a sucker. I don't care.
But I got
I'm
my
petty as
revenge.
shit. Yeah, exactly.
So like and that's just like an example, but I hear stories like that so much, and I'm just like, man. Now of course I used to hear the same types of stories, but it was men and it was flipped and everything like that, so I understand. And now women are having their cake and eating it too, and it's cool. But when you see stuff like the article you're talking about, it just, I'm like, man, we've gotten to a point now where we're so far to the right now that eventually we're going to have to come back to the middle. But because all these things are so popular and everything is so now, uh, I don't want to say bigger, but everything is just so like accepting, and if you don't accept it you'll be canceled. I feel like it's going to take a while for us to get back into that middle space, and
Yeah,
where everything is
or
like,
that.
just like you said, just be honest and say like, look, I don't fuck with you no more and we should break up, and then just leave it at that. But now it's
Yeah.
like you have the gall to say, you know what, let me dictate the terms that I want to break up on, just so you can't slander me,
Mm-hmm.
even though I caused all this shit.
Yeah,
And it's
this was
just,
all about self protection, and the thing your friend was going through. That girl knew exactly what she was doing. It was the whole, let me keep this dude on the back burner just in case like it doesn't work out with this dude or the next dude.
right.
That way, like if like the dude she's seeing now, the new one, if he decides to break up with her out of nowhere,
Whoa,
she
whoa,
already
whoa,
has.
whoa. No, she's talking to another dude, but still with her dude. So don't forget her
Okay, so
original dude is still there.
okay, let's say like for her worst case scenario, both those dudes be like peace out
Right.
out of nowhere, and she wasn't ready. Now she has your friend to go to like right away, so that she has like she could stay warm. And
Right.
then I guarantee even if like they start like become official, she'll do the same thing. She'll talk to, people don't change their habits. Like
Right.
it's like a cheater's a cheater kind of thing.
Right. And
Kind of shit. And then that shit doesn't matter. Like if like man or woman or whatever, all the other ones and shit like that. So
it's
it's fucked up. It's
yeah, and it's so hard. I'm pretty sure for both sides, but
yeah.
I'm a man. I'm gonna speak from the man perspective. Just seeing the shit and hearing the shit, I'm like, damn, how can you trust any situation at this point, dating wise, when it's like, all right, on end, I think I like this girl a lot. Let me try to invest time and effort into this. But on the other end, you're like, I have no idea if she's talking to 50 other people, or she could have a whole nother situation. And
But I'm the special one. I'm the one out of 50.
I'm the different guy. She'll go with me. And it's just like,
Yeah, with that, it's really about, like, again, like last week, self-honesty and being like, okay, I could be, but I'm willing to be vulnerable because I feel that I want to be, and I feel like it is. So I'm gonna do that, even with the thing in the back of my head telling me, like, this is, every other situation like this, you hear stories all the time about this and that, and it goes wrong and whatever. But at the end of the day, you just got to go, okay, like, I'm deciding to do this, making these moves, and if it goes bad, then I just have to accept it. You like, go through the feelings, don't start talking shit on the person.
right.
I mean, a little bit to your friends, like, obviously, but like, don't go on social media and just like fucking slander them and
Right.
go crazy. But it's just about that. It's all like, every relationship is a risk. Anytime you talk to someone new, anytime you're trying to get with somebody, it's a fucking risk. And people don't like to think about this because they're like, oh, but people are, why would they do that? Why would they hurt me if, like, we were so, like, close and we were so friendly and we were so cool with each other? So that's what people do. Most people are honest, and with us, especially because we're so honest with people about our intentions and shit like that, and we don't play these games. That's why when we go like, man, that's fucked up, and that people try to come at us like, well, men do this and that. I'm like, yeah, but it's still fucked up. Like, who the fuck cares? It's like when we did the fat theory episode. Or like not the fat theory, the one where, like, if someone close to you is like really overweight and it's affecting their health, talk to them and like help them. Everyone came at us was like, but skinny people are unhealthy too, and blah blah blah. I'm like, yeah, help them too. Like, I'm just using the American thing of like, most Americans are super overweight, so it's more relatable kind of shit. But yeah, so it's just like, just because this is true doesn't mean like the other side isn't. It's like, just it's if it's wrong, it's wrong. Like, being defensive about it is not gonna fix it.
Yeah, and before I go back to something you said, to just jump on that episode or whatever, we got murdered for that.
Oh yeah,
and it was literally because like people thought we were putting this episode just spawned from our personal opinions or whatever, but it spawned from Jillian Michaels, a trainer, telling people, basically saying that if Lizzo kept the same habits or whatever, she would be in bad health because of X, Y, and Z, which was common sense, and it was like, whatever. But of course, someone of her stature and how she looks can't say that about someone like Lizzo. So now it's an issue and everything. And the whole episode was based off of like health. Like, how can they be the healthiest possible? And if losing weight would make you healthier, why wouldn't you push for it for your friend if you love them like that?
Yeah.
Right. And
also just biology. Like, if you're that big, like Lizzo's an exception where she's that big and she's able to like do these dances and like do concerts and do all this stuff. Right. That's great, but it is putting a strain on her heart. Like, that's worse than if like you were like, fitter, a person that's fitter. Right. And that's just biology, man. Like, you can't argue that shit. So
but they will. But but when it comes to, now going back to something you had said earlier that if you break up with someone, don't say I still love you, because that's bullshit. Yeah. Now, I'm gonna ask people out there, when it comes to that, can you still love someone but not want to be with them anymore? Because I've heard a lot of people say something to the effect like, you could love someone but not still be in love with them, but still want to be with them.
That's a weird roundabout way to just want to, like, it's the having your cake and eating it too kind of shit.
Right. And then there's because I feel like a lot of older relationships, like if your parents are married or whatever, like, from my perspective, the way I've seen that, I can only really attribute like the people in my family and whatever, and they've been through ups and downs or whatever, but I would still say, yeah, they still love each other. Now, are they still in love? I have no idea, especially when it comes to like Black families and stuff, because all that shit gets murky and muddy. But I would definitely say that they still love each other, and I feel like a lot of long-standing marriages and things like that. One thing that always seems to be consistent is like the people have love for the other person and love for their family and everything like that. But from the people we know and we talk to behind the scenes who have been married forever and everything, they always say like, "Oh man, but if she left today, I'd like blah blah blah," or "I can't wait till blah blah blah." And then it always makes someone like me look at that and just be like, "Man, I don't have that like in my mind like that there's no part of my mind that's gonna be like, all right, 20 years with my wife, but year 21 I'm gonna be like, all right, I'm tired of you. All right, I
Yeah.
love you and all, but
Yeah, I feel like those people, the ones that like, especially with the time and experience, all this stuff, it's that most of them don't work at staying in love, and it's
right,
it's like it's something that like people tend not to believe because of movies and TV and shit about love, but
right,
like love is work. Like after the initial like honeymoon phase and the beginning periods where you're just like all about each other and it's just like yeah, like it's just all that dopamine's rushing and shit like that. After that, when you're building a life together, um, you have to work at staying in love and you have to keep the spark alive.
right,
And sadly, people take their spouses for granted.
yeah,
You know,
and
after a while, and they stop doing the little special things. You know,
they
and
feel
it
like
doesn't. I don't. Go for
no,
it.
I was gonna say they feel like they're always gonna be either the same or always be around, so you don't have to work at that at all anymore.
Yeah, yeah. And I haven't been in a relationship in a long time, but I could say I could remember like that's one of my mistakes, like saying like just taking for granted, stop doing those special things, stop going out so much, and like stop saying stuff like how beautiful you think they are and shit like that. And that goes for
Right,
both men and women or
right,
and whatever. And it just people just fall into that hole, and then when like people fall out of love, they're like, "But what happened? I thought we were blah blah blah," and they were comfortable, and it's just like yeah, get comfortable. I mean, it is your spouse and everything, but you know, like remember, keep like a small part of your memory alive for how it was in the beginning.
right.
And I
And
think yeah,
I was gonna say, and I don't want people to also get that misconstrued either. It's not saying that you should fucking every week recreate your first date and go do all these insane shit or whatever. And if you have someone that wants you to do that, I feel like you have a long road ahead of you because I mean you can't continuously top yourself. It's not possible or whatever. Like
yeah.
some people can, but I feel like that's a very toxic relationship. What people would call
And
it
you had
that.
to have a lot of money to
Yeah,
do that shit
to
too.
to do that shit, right? But I think when it comes to like healthy relationships, I feel like you said, you should at least have some sort of memory or some sort of like feeling about how you remember your relationship. And then even going through like the marriage or the premarital counseling that we had to go through, me and my wife, one of the things that they kept stressing, we had to get married. I don't know about
No,
y'all.
no, it was just like if you didn't say the me and my wife part, people would have thought it was me and you.
We had to go through
Our
our
premarital
premarital
counseling.
counseling,
Yeah, I had to
Um,
get ready for him to get married to someone else.
it was crazy.
Yeah,
But no, but one of the big things they said was like even when kids come into the picture, it's like don't let your kids like basically outshine your marriage. And it's like you're still married, even though now you have a family. I know a lot of people want to go like, oh, but I have a family now, so I have to worry about the kids and blah blah blah. It's like, but your partner is still there, so still make time to do these things and have weekends or whatever moments to yourself where you can still keep that spark alive or whatever. Because I think
yeah,
the worst thing that could happen in a relationship, which sounds like happened to the person um in your article or whatever, I think what happened was once the pandemic hit and there wasn't any more going out and there wasn't any more things they could do, this chick was like, I don't want to be with this person because there's no more like reason for me to be here. It's not fun anymore.
yeah,
And whether she was in the right or not, it's like once that spark dies, it's really hard to try to rekindle it because
yeah.
now they know you now. So
Yeah, and it's like you said, it's not these grand gestures every time. It's just the small stuff from what I hear and what I think about. Like let's say today, let's say your wife is working today all day, and
right,
you have the day off. Small little thing is like you clean up the whole apartment and just have it ready and like maybe cook dinner or something like. it's small shit like that, stuff that doesn't take that much effort. It's not a grand thing. It's something that you could consider regular,
Right.
but it's just doing those things consistently for each other that it keeps that shit alive.
Right.
And then every now and then, of course, like a grand gesture for like special occasions, you know, stuff that doesn't break the bank.
Right. I'm sorry. Like while you were talking, I thought there was like a big ass rat behind you, but it's your dog. Because all I saw was like a
How dare
body
you?
and a tail, and I was
You're so lucky she can't hear you. She would attack the computer right now. I ain't no fucking rat. I ain't no fucking rat.
I was gonna be like, yo, Mark, like stop recording, like, bro, behind you. Niggas watch you flip out.
I do freak out. Yeah, I mean, you see me flip out with the rats in our first apartment. Oh man. Its tail touched me.